So when are you at your sharpest during the day? Is it 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, once you get the juices flowing? Let me ask you this. Who owns that time? I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to articulate it as well as it sounds in my head, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I've been thinking a lot lately about taxes. Now, before you click away from this video, I'm not necessarily talking about money taxes. I'm talking about time taxes. So basically, after getting laid off, I have been doing a lot of thinking lately about who's gotten the best hours of my life for the last decade plus that I've been doing what I've been doing, and then before with other lines of work as well. I noticed some of you, the concept of taxation is pretty simple. I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence here, but they don't teach it in school. So others, it might be kind of foreign to them. Like I said, they don't teach it in school, so that's a topic for another discussion. But anyway, workers get taxed on their gross. Say you work some overtime and you're expecting an extra $1,000 on your check. You're never going to see that because the feds take some, state takes some, Social Security takes some, Medicare takes some. Everybody gets their cut before you see a dime. You get paid last. Now, when you compare that to the way corporations get taxed, corporations make revenue. They write off their business expenses, cost of doing business, and then after it's all said and done, they get their net and they get taxed on that. So workers are taxed on gross, corporations are taxed on net. So now that we got that out of the way, we can get to what I was thinking about talking about today, and that is the tax on the real currency, which is the only currency that you can never get back. And I'm not talking about dollars, I'm talking about hours. So, if there's 24 hours in a day, hopefully you're asleep for 8 of those hours. And then, maybe you work for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it may be. Add on your commute to that, 1 or 2 hours or more, hopefully less. But, it depends. And then on top of that, you have admin stuff, family, other obligations. You got to eat. You got to take care of the chores around the house. So what's left over after that? That's what I refer to as your profit. That's your net. That's the time that you get when everything is settled up, all the debts are paid. That's what you get left over. So work takes everything up front. Your best, brightest, most productive hours. And you just get whatever's left over. Sounds a lot like the way you're taxed, doesn't it? So before someone says, well, that's just life, just deal with it. I get it. That is just life. That's the way our system's set up, and we got to deal with it. But it's how we deal with it that can either make or break us. You burn your peak energy at work. You come home drained. You sit, maybe scroll for a little bit, try to numb yourself, forget about whatever it was that was bothering you during the day. A lot of times we're so tired that we just waste those remaining precious hours when we could be using them to be productive. I'm not saying that you have to spend every waking minute of every day being productive, but I'm just saying, maybe we don't want to be destructive. Instead of watching TV, maybe we can read a book, learn something. Something that maybe isn't as intense of an activity, but it's going to be a net positive for our well-being. I'm not giving my opinion here. I'm just stating the facts and trying to make the most out of a somewhat mediocre situation. And I've had a lot of time to think about it lately. So you can look at this in a couple of different ways. You can look at it like I just explained it on a micro level. So your day-to-day, right? Your routine, your hours. Go to work, come home, do what you got to do to get ready for the next day, rinse and repeat. But you can also look at this on a macro level. And what I mean by a macro level is kind of your zoomed out version of your whole life. So when you get into this routine and you do this every single day, pretty soon, you know, like myself and many of you, a decade goes by, 2, 3 maybe. And then all of a sudden, you're left with what they call retirement, if you're lucky. Now, retirement is your profit. It's what you have left over at the end of your life. It's what they choose to let you keep. Again, if you're lucky. So then you retire and you get 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 good years. And if you've saved, you can kind of enjoy that. And if you haven't saved, tough luck. So that's kind of the macro level of things, where you're at the grander scale. You're at the end of your life and you're kind of getting down to the end. So all I'm saying is that if you look at it from a business perspective, businesses protect their margin. And so should you. So you got to just guard your quote unquote profits like they're gold, because they are. They're literally the time that you're left with that you can never get back. There's nothing more valuable than that. So, I mean, maybe what does it look like to you? Exercising before work while you're fresh, investing your money, investing your time, learning something new, trying to always be better than you were the day before. You could treat your evenings like investment blocks, you know? Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Many of you have probably read it. It's one of my favorite books. It's a little dated, some of the information, but the general overarching concepts are timeless. And one of his biggest things that I took away from that book was pay yourself first. So he was referring more to investments. When you get a paycheck and you have all these obligations and bills and rent and mortgage, whatever, you know, that'll all get taken care of, but you got to pay yourself first. And so he was talking more of an investment side of things. What I'm talking about is more of a mental and physical well-being side of things. You just pay yourself first, because you are the only person that can truly take care of yourself the way that you need to be taken care of. Everything else is second. And that's one thing I've learned recently with the whole loyalty thing, as you probably know, if you've been following the channel. You know, I'm not anti-job. I've worked really hard in my life, and I will continue to work really hard in my life. But again, I've realized that nobody can take care of me like I can. So I'm always going to put myself and the well-being of my loved ones first from now on, because it only makes sense. When your paycheck comes in, after everybody gets their cut, that amount that you get, that's your net income. And hopefully you use that to pay your bills, take care of your family, make sure all the loved ones in your life have what they need. But when you're done with work and you come home and all your obligations are fulfilled, that's your net time. And it's all you're ever going to get. So hopefully you use that in the best way possible. So you can't always control how you're being taxed. That's just a given. Is what it is, right? But you can control how you use what's left over. And that's what I'm trying to drive home here, is that it's precious. And you don't want to waste any of it. Because as Aaron Knightley says on YouTube, there isn't just one more day. It's actually one less day. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, when you're sharp, when you're focused, ready to take on the day, who's going to get that hour? Well, I really appreciate you coming along with me today. And I hope that it kind of made sense to you like it did to me in my own head. Sometimes I have a little hard time getting my thoughts out. I really appreciate you making it this far. And I guess if you can take one thing away from it, it would just be to take care of yourself and your loved ones and use the time that you have wisely. That's something that I've been really thinking a lot about lately. So again, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks.